Wow, I've been spending a lot of time trying to make this video. It's been the last few days. I've been watching a bunch of other tips videos, a bunch of other settings videos, a bunch of basically everything that you need to know to play Rogue Company. And I'm going to take it all, I'm going to combine it into one video, this video, and it's going to teach you everything that you could possibly ever want to know about Rogue Company. This video is basically made to be a one-stop shop for all tips that you'll ever need to know. I'll have timestamps in the description below to take you anywhere you want to jump around in the video, so whatever you want to know, you'll be able to find it and fast. First off, I want to say that I am not professional at this game. I'm not the best. I'm pretty good. I think that this video will help the beginner and intermediate players so much that you're going to be pausing the video a lot because you're going to be getting so much information thrown at you that you're going to have to take a second and really absorb it. I've acquired all this information by watching a lot of other tip videos. I've learned off my own gameplay what works for me, what works for other people, and I'm going to combine all of that and show you all of it. Just a fair warning though, if you are a pro, not necessarily a pro, you're very, very good at the game, don't be surprised if you don't learn a whole lot about it, but I do recommend that you watch through just to make sure that you're not missing anything obvious. So now here's the video that's taken me the last few days to make. I really hope you guys enjoy, and just know this took me so much time. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over settings. Now settings are basically the same for everybody across the board, but I'll tell you really quickly which ones that you can customize for yourself. For this, just leave it at full screen, leave the resolution at your native monitor res, turn VSync off unless you're a psychopath. Brightness, you can kind of tweak it. It's good to stay the same. I wouldn't recommend moving it, to be honest. Turn motion blur off. View distance, this has to be on ultra or else you're at a huge disadvantage. Now you can take shadows and put them on low. You don't need them. Put these two on high and then put the rest of them on low. Now, if you're still getting bad performance issues, I've had no problems. I don't think you will either. But if you do, this is what you should start moving down. And at the absolute worst case, then you can start moving view distance down and click apply. And there you go. Also, I've had a problem sometimes when I start the game, everything is on ultra. I quickly have to throw it all back down to the way it was before and then click apply. So every time you start the game, just make sure that everything's where you want it to be. Now to audio, master volume, just leave it at 100. You can customize everything else. I turn the music down a little bit. Sound effects you're always going to want to have as high as possible so you can hear footsteps coming behind you. I turn the voice chat volume down a little bit because everybody was really, really loud, but you can kind of put that wherever you want. And then just make sure you have voice chat on. You're going to need it. Now on to controls. If you're new to this game, you may not know what sensitivity you want, and I'll help you with that really quickly. If you don't know what sensitivity you have for this game and you're just new, or you still might want to tweak it around a little bit, just go to aiming.pro. I'll leave the link down in the description. You're going to be able to convert your sensitivity from another game to Rogue Company. So for example, I played Overwatch. My in-game sensitivity in Overwatch was 4. My mouse DPI is 800, and now we're going to convert it to Rogue Company. Then bam, 2.283. So we're going to take that and we're going to put it straight into our Rogue Company, and then that we have our sense. For the rest of this, you can convert this. If you were from Fortnite, you know what targeting and scope sense are. Targeting is when you're aiming down sights with a gun, but it doesn't have a scope on it, and then scope sensitivity is obviously when you have a scope on it. You're going to want to tweak those around personally for you. ADS mode is hold time to press time. I'd put all these as low as possible, but if you're having trouble and it's pressing without you actually pressing it, then you should move it up a little bit. Unfortunately for you controller players, I'm yet to find any way to convert your sense to Rogue Company. You're gonna have to figure these out for yourself, and then obviously everything else comes with that. I don't play a controller. I'm not gonna pretend to tell you exactly what to do here, but with these, you're definitely going to want to tweak around with them a little bit. I see a lot of players that are pretty good and they haven't really moved a lot. They've kind of tweaked this way down, but ADS mode they have on hold. Everything else, they don't move that much. Make sure you turn vibration off unless for whatever reason you like vibration. Basically, everything else they have is left the same. So if you're a controller player, the main thing you're going to want to focus on is finding your right sensitivity. And if you find a way to convert that, that's great. Please let me know in the comments and I will pin it. And since I obviously didn't find a converter for a controller, there's no way I'm going to be able to find one for the Switch. So you're going to have to figure this one out yourself too, but just play with it. If you find a converter, please let me know in the comments below. For movement, hold the crouch and hold the sprint. I both have off. I highly recommend that. I do have auto sprint on right now. That you can kind of use whichever way you want. Me, I have it on because if I'm ever trying to be sneaky, I'll just crouch because it's quieter and walking's already pretty loud. And I feel like it's a little bit buggy. But this one you can definitely do yourself, and whatever one you find more comfortable with, just run with it and you'll be just fine. Now we're on to bindings. I haven't really touched any binds in this game. I think they're all pretty great. One I did change though is dodge roll. I put it to my mouse button just so it's nice and easy to press. I'm super comfortable with it. I highly recommend it. And the other one I switched is toggle shoulder. I put that on my other mouse button. I think having both of those on your mouse buttons are really comforting. They're so easy to press, but if you don't have mouse buttons, you could easily bind them to like F or G or anywhere on your keyboard that's easy to press too, and you'll do just fine. I don't think there's too much to do in these. I think the binds for controller and for keyboard and mouse are pretty good, and you will do fine with it, but definitely focus on putting toggle shoulder and dodge roll on keys that you're really comfortable with, because you're going to be using them a lot. For display damage numbers, I have not touched these. I haven't seen anybody touch them. If you leave them where they are, you'll be just fine. And finally, social is put your region. You can leave text chat on or off. It doesn't really matter. Nobody really uses it. And that's all the settings I got for you. Now let's jump into the next category. So now we're going to go over what you should be buying in the buy shop in between rounds in Rogue Company. The first thing I want you to do when you're doing this is I want you to take a look at your rogue in the menu before you actually go into the game. This will give you a huge advantage because you only have 15 seconds in between rounds. You'll know what you're going to get before you actually have the chance to get it. So when you go in the buy shop, you can quickly buy everything you need. You know what you want to get, you get it really quick, and then you're done and you're ready to go. You're not going to miss anything. When you're first starting out or you're an intermediate player still, I definitely recommend sticking to 1 or 2 different rogues and maining them, playing them a lot, so you get really comfortable with their buy systems, so you don't have to think about it at all, and you can focus more on gameplay. Focus on those rogues, master those buy systems, and that'll take us into our next category, which is, of course, the rogues. The most important thing, in my opinion, when you're starting out, when you're an intermediate player, you're going to really want to stick to 1 or 2 rogues and just master them. Mastering rogues is great because you get really good at those rogues, but it also allows you to focus less on what your abilities and characters should be doing, and it allows you to expand your playstyle and figure out what you should be doing in the game outside of your abilities. Once you learn how to play the game and you start playing at a high level, then you can figure out how to expand to more rogues and figure out which rogue is best for you. But it's really important to figure out how to play the game. I am going to give a lot of tips on gameplay, and some stuff you're going to have to learn with experience, and this is how you're going to do it, by mastering a rogue and then playing the game yourself. This is the strategy that I use to learn League of Legends, Overwatch, and more games that are hero based. I pick a character, I main it, I get really good at the character. Playing the character becomes second nature, and then learning the game becomes what I do the most. When you're maining a character, you think less about your character, more about your positioning, teamwork, less about your character's abilities, and you just get so much better, so much faster. The rogue I highly recommend that you start with is going to be Ronin, because she is the most versatile rogue in the game. She has a ballistic knife, which is insane. It's really easy to use. It's really good. She has an AR that, in my opinion, is one of the best ARs in the game, and she has an SMG. Whatever you want to get out of her, you can. She's very easy to pick up, and she's really strong. So when you're starting out, just insta-lock that Ronin, unless I'm in your game, because maybe I want to play her. I'm not going to be doing a guide on each rogue individually. I will be uploading those videos over time, but I think it is really good for you to just play that rogue and figure it out yourself, because you may find stuff that people aren't even doing yet. So now the next category we're going to go into is something that I see everybody go crazy about on Reddit. I think it's really funny. It's becoming a meme in one itself, and that's reviving. Now I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here about reviving, so in case you get lost, pause it, go back, and then listen to it again, because it will make sense. Now, everybody says revive your teammate on the Reddit everywhere. They're like, always revive, always revive. That's not always the best option. It is a great option, but it is not the best every time. Before you're going to go start a revive, make sure that you know that you're going to be able to actually pull it off. Because if you get killed while trying to res him, you're now down 2 lives than you were originally down just 1. Saving a life is great, but losing 2 lives is way worse. However, when you think about it, both Strikeout and Demolition, the only 2 game modes that we have right now, are both based on a limited number of lives. So every time you can get a revive off, you just do it! It's so helpful. It will increase your chances of winning every single game astronomically. So basically what I'm saying here is, do the res if you can pull it off. If you cannot pull it off, it's okay. It's just 1 life. It's better than losing 2. But just focus, try and get as many as you can. So now we're on to gameplay, and I'd say the biggest part to know about this game is that it is third person, so you're going to want to be using your camera. You can peek around angles before your body actually turns, so every time you go to push around an angle, you should definitely be looking around it first to make sure that it's safe to go. Go wall to wall, bounce around, switch your shoulders, keep pushing that way, make sure that you're checking everything is safe before you're running out into the open and getting destroyed. Now you might be wondering, how do you know that somebody else isn't also cameraing you? And there's a quick, simple trick that I can tell you that will help you astronomically. This is called jiggle peeking. Now, jiggle peeking is when you're on a corner, you're going to want to pop in and out on the wall over and over again to see if you can get an opponent to peek. If nobody peeks while you're jiggle peeking, odds are that there's nobody there. But they might be smart enough know that you're jiggle peeking, and they may wait for you to finally rush out. So you can give a quick fake rush out and then rush back behind the wall. And then if there's nobody there, then the coast must be clear. You're good to go. Rush up to your next wall and keep pushing forward. Another thing I notice a lot is people don't use their roll very much. Now, rolling is incredibly useful in this game for one reason and one reason only: to get to cover. You should never, ever, ever use your roll to go towards somebody or go out to peek somebody. It will never work. The only time you should in any situation is if you're playing Lancer, because every time you roll as Lancer, you reload. What you're really going to want to do with rolling is, if you get caught out in the open, you're going to roll to cover so that you can analyze the situation and then figure out where to go from there. But make sure that you start rolling more, because if you try and run back to cover, like we all have habits of doing, and I see it in every game, if you run back to cover, you're a way easier target to hit. If you roll back to cover, you'll get there faster and you won't get hit as much. There's no reason not to do it.
Just do it!
My next tip is to crank your headsets up pretty loud. The footsteps in this game sound like somebody is literally beating the absolute shit out of the wall behind you. If you have even a decent headset, you'll hear them anywhere on the map all the time. Even if they're crouch walking, you can hear them pretty well. So just focus on that. You will do fine. You won't get flanked anymore and you'll be good to go. When you're pushing or playing this game at all, you basically want to keep your crosshair at head height as much as possible. So when you get into a fight, you're going to start shooting at their head. You're going to do so much more damage so much faster. This may be easy for me because I came from a background of CSGO where you keep your crosshair at head height all the time. But if you focus on it, get good at it, you land that first headshot and the other guy hits the body shot, you're going to win those fights a lot more. Another tip, guys, is take the game really, really slow. You only have one life and it's extremely valuable. Now I'm talking about Demolition, of course. You want to play really, really slow, because the longer you're alive, the better you have a chance of winning. The only time I would say to throw your life away is if you're in a 2-on-1 situation. You can both push the last player from different angles, so you can only kill one of you. If your other teammate hits his shots, then you win anyway. This means not as much, but it is still very important in Strikeout because you respawn, but it is a limited life mode. So the longer you're alive, the more kills you're getting without dying, you're going to help your team win a lot more. So play your life, stay alive, don't throw any lives away unless you absolutely have to. A lot of players in this game are really impatient, so if you're more patient than them, eventually they're just going to run straight into your gun. If you're defending, you don't have to push them, you only have to defend the bomb sites. That's all you have to do. If you're attacking, just attack strategically, don't throw your life away. Odds are the defending team is actually going to push into you anyway, so as long as you're patient, let them rush you, you'll get way more kills, you'll perform way better. My last tip for gameplay, and this might be the most important one: look at the enemy team's rogues the second the game starts, see what their abilities are and what their playstyles as their rogues are, and plan against it. This can help you so much. Say for example there's a Lancer on the other team, you know that Lancer is going to push up really far, so maybe that game play a little bit further back and wait for her to run into your gun. She will do it. Or if there's a Ronin, make sure when you're going around corners you're listening so you can hear the ballistic knife to make sure you don't run into it. Stuff like that will help you so much. Just know what rogues, know what you're going up against instead of just going in blind and playing it like it's Call of Duty. You'll be way ahead of the game. You'll do way better. Now, everybody's favorite category, teamwork. Speak to your teammates. I can't stress it enough. Speak to your teammates. Even if you're shy and you don't want to, it will drastically help your team win. It may not be that important now because the games are mostly casual, but when rank comes out, you have to have a mic. Even if you're just saying, let's go A, or let's go B on offense, or they're A, they're B, they're mid on defense, it will help your team so much just for them to hear it and know where the enemies are. Call out where you die, where you see enemies. Like every other game, just let your teammates know, give them as much information as they need, and it will be so helpful for everybody on your team. If you really don't want to talk, you can use the ping system. It's a little bit worse than talking, but you can get by using it. If you don't want to say which site you want to go to into your mic, you can just ping it, and then your teammates will usually follow. Ping enemies, ping everything you can to give your team information without overloading them, and then they don't know what your pings actually mean. Pings should be used in combination with voice chat, but you should at least be doing one of them. If you don't like doing any of these things in a public match, just play with your friends so you can all communicate. That's also great, but you should try to do all of these. If you can't, just make sure that you're at least communicating with your team a little bit. It will help you so much. I can't recommend it enough. Now, all the tips that I just told you are very helpful, but there's really only two ways that you're going to get better at this game. It's going to be through watching the pros play this game and then playing the game yourself. You can use everything I taught you and use it in game, but it's only going to take you so far. You have to play the game yourself, use trial and error, try things, see how you do, and then eventually, with enough game time, you'll figure out how to play this game really, really well. If you made it this far, leave a comment down below and let me know. Thank you guys for watching. It truly means a lot. I hope you guys learned a lot from this. Have a great day.